Hi there, this is Unmesh, and today I'm going to show you how to remove large objects or distractions from your images in Photoshop. So without any further ado, let's get started. So here we are in Photoshop, and if you want to go ahead and download this photo and follow along, check the links in the description. So the first thing that we need to do is to make a copy of the background layer. To do that, press Ctrl or Command J. In this layer, we will apply Content Aware Fill. Now, Content Aware Fill sometimes does an excellent job, sometimes does a good job, sometimes does a pretty bad job. However, most of the times, it gives you a nice starting point to begin with. So we can name this layer Content Aware, C-O-N-T-N-T-A-W-A-R-E. All right, now we need to remove this light, and if you want, you can also remove this camera right over here at the corner. So let's make a selection around it. Now keep in mind, try to make the selection as precise as possible. Leave a gap, yes, but make it precise. Leave out many details for Photoshop to recreate those missing areas. We will select the polygonal lasso tool. Why? Because this has straight lines and edges. So let's zoom in and let's work on with the polygonal lasso tool. If you want to work on with the lasso tool, the regular one, so this is the regular lasso tool. You can work on it if you want it. However, let me show you a tip. Even if you're working with polygonal lasso tool, just like this, try to be precise like that. And you want to switch to lasso tool. Here's what you can do. Hold the Alt or Option and click and hold. This turns into a lasso tool. Isn't that wonderful? And then when you release the Alt or Option, it returns back to the polygonal lasso tool. And anytime you want to go back, for example, you made a mistake like this, you can press the backspace key, just like this, and it goes back. Isn't that wonderful? However, it won't go back past the lasso tool, the regular lasso tool job, okay? So keep that in mind. So we're going to select that again. Click, 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 and just go on. There's no signs to it. Let's go back, backspace. And once you're zoomed in, if you want to move, so for example, you made a point, if you want to move, hold the space bar, the cursor changes to a hand, and then you can move. Easy, isn't it? Backspace, we got that mistake corrected. And mistakes can happen anytime, and I didn't know this. This is something which I discovered very recently, backspace thing. By the way, did you notice that I just did not select the whole thing? I'm selecting each leg. So you should be precise. So you could have selected the whole thing right in from here, and you could have selected everything which is inside the legs of the tripod or the stand. But I would recommend that you make the precise selection. Here's why. That way, Photoshop will have the details of the pipe, and it will really help it to reconstruct the pipe in between these stands. So be as precise as possible, okay? Leave a little gap, that's okay, but be precise. You have to actually leave a gap, otherwise it won't look good when you apply the Content Aware Fill. Let's select this distraction as well. See, mistake happened. Backspace. Backspace again. Okay. When you reach the end, just double click. It will close that. Now, if you have a look at the selection, let's press Ctrl or Command 0 to fit the canvas to the screen. If I press Q, it will show me the selection. Now, depending upon what you have in your quick mask options, you might see the other areas red and this area in the original color. I have made it, okay, let me show it to you. So if I just double click, so the red areas are the selected areas, okay? If I choose masked areas and hit OK and then press Q, it will show it to me in color. So it's just a matter of how it shows you what you have selected. It doesn't really matter. This means that this area is selected, but we want just the distractions to be selected. Along with it, this area is also selected. We don't want that area to be selected. As I told you before, give as much details to Photoshop as possible. Let's press Q again and let's remove that area from the selection. Okay, so hold the Alt or Option and then draw. That way it turns into a polygonal lasso tool minus or subtract. It will subtract this area from the selection. Okay, press Ctrl or Command 0, fit it, Q. Okay, now this is a little perfect. All you have to do now is edit, fill, and make sure content aware selected. Make sure preserve transparency is checked off. We don't want to preserve the transparency. Normal 100%, hit OK. Let's see what it does. At least I'm hoping that it will give a nice starting point. Let's say, wow, it is great. It's not perfect, but it is good. Press Ctrl or Command D and let's have a look at this, how nicely it has produced the pipes. Have a look at the before and after. So before, after, look how nice it is. Of course, it needs a little bit of repairing, but that's okay. That's pretty nice. So let's start repairing this particular area. Okay, you can use any tool that you like, the clone stamp tool, the regular healing brush tool, the spot healing brush tool, anything. But there are a couple of things along with the clone stamp tool which can be really beneficial, especially the blend modes. Okay, so select the clone stamp tool. Okay, and we need to replicate the cracks over here. How do we do that? If we take a sample from this area, for example, we are taking a sample from this area, and if we paint over here, it takes the whole patch. If we zoom out, have a look. It just copies this area and pastes it over here. We don't want to do it. We just want to replicate the cracks. Here's how we can do it. Just sample this area. Okay. Hold the Alt or Option. Sample this area. Good. Now, change the blend mode to darken. That way, it will only paint if that particular area is darker than the area that you're painting in. So cracks are darker. So if we paint, only cracks will show up. See, the patch doesn't show up, right? So let's sample this area again and fill this area up. Looks nice. You can also sample this area again and make sure there's no pattern involved. If there's a pattern, it will look bad. Okay, now we have filled those areas. Now there are a lot of dark patches over here. We'll take care of that later. But first, let's connect the pipes. Let's change the blend mode back to normal and take a sample from this and line it up properly. Zoom in. Make sure you line it up properly and then paint. Like that. Take a sample again, line it up properly and paint. Sample, line it up and then paint. Now, at this point, we might have to rotate it. How do we rotate the clone? Here's how. Hold the Alt or Option, the Shift key, and the right arrow bracket key. See how it rotates? Hold that. And once the rotation is good, just paint. We need to rotate it even more. Okay, once it lines up, then just simply paint. Now we need to work on this. Let's rotate it to the left a little bit. The pipe is not actually very straight. It fits. Okay, that is taken care of. However, there's a patch that we will have to remove. What else we can also do is that we can continue this thing. We can erase this area and we can continue this pipe. That will be easier for us to do. Okay. That's something which you can do. We just continued that pipe. Let's have a look at the before and after. So this is the before, this is the after. I think we shouldn't have continued the pipe. This was fine the way it was. We just need to brighten it properly. Let's zoom in and let's try to connect the pipe nicely. It's not looking great. Let's try to move it and paint it like that. Okay, that's okay. Now, how do we remove the patches? Create a curves adjustment layer and take it up, make it brighter with the mask selected. Okay, press Ctrl or Command I. This inverts the mask. Now we will paint on just the patches with white. Okay, this makes this brighter, but it's too bright and we need to see the patches properly. So to see the patches properly, here's what I would suggest. Create a solid color adjustment layer, and this is something which we covered in check layers tutorial. Check it out right here. So select any neutral color that you like, white, black, whatever you like, just select any neutral color and then hit OK. Change the blend mode from normal to color That way you just see the amount of light. Create one more curves adjustment layer and increase the contrast like this. That way you'll be able to see the patches more nicely. And this is also just for indication. Let's come back to this mask, the first one, and zoom in. And now let's try painting on these areas. Decrease the flow to 5% and paint with white in this area. Maybe let's go 2%. Okay, we need to brighten up the pipes. You can take your time to do it. You can take as much time to do it. Let's have a look at the before and after. So this is after painting. So this is the before. This is the after. Just look at the amount of difference. We can merge it like this. Okay, let's have a look. Before, after. Really takes it away. Now you can delete it or just keep it. Just keep it. Let's turn this on and keep it, group both of them and name it luminance. So it actually checks the luminance. Okay, turn it off. Now let's repair this area. Zoom in and move to that area and let's repair it. Come back to the content aware layer. Now you can keep this backed up in layers. So you can create another copy of this one and then work on this one. This really helps you keep a backup of all of everything. Now you don't have to do it, it's not necessary, but if you want you can do. You can name it maybe clone 2 and then go on, maybe make clone 3 or whatever you like. Okay, so now let's try and solve this over here. It looks bad, pretty bad. So if you want to have a look at the before, so this is the before, this is the after. At this point we need to solve this. So with the clone stamp tool, take a sample of this one, line this up properly. Now we do not want to paint inside of this. So we will choose the blend mode, darken, and line it up like so and just paint. Let's take one more sample, probably from here, and let's try. Always match the line properly. Zoom in if you have to and match. We need to rotate over here, Alt Shift, the right bracket key like this, and match it and then paint. Only then paint. At this point it will not work. You have to move to normal and then do it. Zoom out a bit and then take one more sample. Now you will see a lot of patches. We will take care of that later. Do not worry about that. Okay, that is great. It's a little bent. Why is it bent? Well, because we rotated that. Go to Windows and then clone source. See, it is bent 1.8 degrees. Reset that and then take one more sample and the bend will be gone. Take the sample and just paint it in here like that. Okay. Now you will see a pattern coming around again and again. Always try to break the pattern. So you can take this and break the pattern over here like that. Just paint it like this and break the pattern. So make sure the pattern is always broken. Otherwise it does look cloned, which it is. All right. Now there are a lot of patches. We need to take care of that. Let's go back to the curves and turn on the luminance. See the patches over here? Take the brush and simply just paint on these areas. Zoom out and let's have a look at the before and after. So before this, after this. Look at the difference. Turn off the luminance, turn off the curves. No, you don't have to turn this off. Okay, it looks great. Let's come back to clone 2. And once you're sampling, you can also sample all layers along with the curves or just the current layer. You can choose current layer because it really doesn't matter at this point. Okay, now let's repair this window. You just have to continue this, take a sample from this, line it up properly and continue. Easy, very easy. All right, that is done. Break the pattern always. Take a sample from here, break the pattern here. See where the patterns are, zoom out, see where the patterns are. See, it's repeating over there again. So we need to break the pattern here as well. So let's take a sample and let's break the pattern exactly at this point. Okay, that is great. Let's zoom out and let's have a look. Yeah, that looks pretty good. On the right hand side, Is it good? Yeah, it is great. Let's take care of this area. This is a little out of place, so we can use the patch tool as well. Let's choose the patch tool and let's make a selection around it. Now patch tool works great with anything which is not attached and on its own, just like an island. But if you have something which is attached, the patch tool will not work. So make a selection of it because it's on its own. Make sure the patch is normal, source is selected, and diffusion is 5. That's the standard number. And just line it up, drag it up, line it up, and release it. Press Ctrl or Command D. Make a selection of this one, the area that you want to replace. Click inside of it, drag it, and drop it to the area that you want to replace it with. Now recently I did a tutorial on the patch tool, so I would highly recommend that you watch this complete guide to the patch tool. It really talks about everything that you need to know about the patch tool, plus some hidden secrets that you wouldn't know if you didn't know. So watch that after watching this tutorial. Alright, let's press Ctrl or Command D once you're done, and everything else looks fine. Okay, this place is repaired, this place is repaired. So this area needs to be repaired, and this can be repaired with the patch tool. So make a selection of this. This looks strange. Just align it, release it. Ctrl or Command D. Zoom in this area, make a selection of the area that you want to replace. From the inside, click and drag and place on an area which matches. Ctrl or Command D. Okay. Now patch tool does not work well with areas which are attached to something. So here we have to do something about the corners. I don't think it will work, but let's try. Sometimes it does. Let's try it. And it worked. Mysteriously it did. So at this place, I don't think this will work. Will this? I don't know. Okay, so I did a mistake. I did a mistake. What was I thinking? Make a selection and let's try to replace it with this thing. Let's see. Yes, it did a pretty good job. I was not expecting that to happen. Okay, let's do it with this one. Okay, done. Probably this. All right, now that is also repaired. What else is there to be repaired? This area looks a little crooked. I don't think the patch tool will do it. And I'm sure it just won't do it. It just won't. It just smears, but it's okay. It really does look good. I was not expecting this to happen. However, I would use the clone stamp tool over here because it loses a little darkness. Okay, I'll take it, make it a little sharper. Here as well. Okay. So make it zoom out. Let's see how that looks. Let's go back a little. Yeah, it is okay. Now we have repaired almost all of it. Have a look at the before and after. So let's just collapse it. We don't need it. Before, after looks pretty darn good. Now let's remove the camera as well. And at the end, I'll give you one more tip. Just use the clone stamp tool and just get rid of it. Just, like that, and gone. Okay. Break the pattern. Always keep in mind, break the pattern. What does look odd in this image? Have a look at the right window. The window is good, but everything outside of the window looks a little mumbo jumbo and we need to solve it. And how can we solve it? There's no, possible way, because if we try to remove this line, it just will go on because we messed up the buildings trying to copy this bar in the middle. So even if we try the patch tool, this just won't work. It just won't work pretty nicely. The buildings look crooked. Let's try it. It just doesn't work. So what is the solution? Let's make the window bright. See, it just doesn't look good. Let's make it bright. How can we do it? Create one more curves adjustment layer. Okay. Take it all up, just like this. Make sure the window goes so bright that we cannot see anything outside of it. Like this, okay? It looks pretty nice. Close it. Now, in the mask, press Ctrl or Command I and just paint on the window. With white. Make sure white is there. Flow is at 100. Just paint. Okay? It's gone. The bottom is fine. The top. Okay. Now the white is leaking. We want to remove this effect from the dark areas, and how can we do it? Using Blend If. So double click on the right hand side of the layer. take the slider of the underlying layer from left to right. We are removing or hiding the dark areas of the underlying layer or the layer which is beneath it from this layer. So if we take it, boom. If you want to make this transition smooth, all you have to do, hold the Alt or Option, click on it and make the transition smooth. We don't want to see the outside, so stay out of that. Hit OK. Zoom out and have a look at it. So this is the after and this is the before. With all those mess over there, let's turn it on. It's gone. Isn't that beautiful? All right. So let's have a look at the complete before and after. This is the before. This is the after. Now I took some more time and here is the final result. So that's how we can remove large objects or distractions in Photoshop. Keep in mind that when you have a large object, do not forget to give content-aware fill a try. I know it doesn't do a perfect job, but more often than not, it gives you a very nice starting point. And sometimes it does such an excellent job that you do not have to do anything else. And this usually happens in images where there's nothing much going on. For example, there's a sky and grass, maybe probably a beach. Those times it works excellent. All right. Then you can use any tool like the clone stamp tool or the patch tool or the healing brush tool to really work your way through repairing this. Now, a big part of this is using blend modes with clone stamp tool. That really works wonders. Now, during the course of repairing it, you will come across bright and dark patches, and we can easily solve it by using curves adjustment layer as we did. And at the end, we learned a very nice trick to let it go. Now, we talked about curves adjustment layer. However, if you see in this example, we didn't, but if you see a discrepancy in color, if the color is not looking right, for example, in this area, the color was not right, simply you would create a new layer just like this. Click on the new layer button, take the brush, and probably this area's color was not like this area's color, or it was not good. Then what you would do, you would sample this area by holding the Alt or Option. This changes to an eyedropper tool, sample this area. But when you sample, the color is changing very fast. Why? Because it's sampling point by point. We don't want that to happen. Select the eyedropper tool and change it to 5 by 5 or 11 by 11. That way it will make a square of 11 by 11 pixels and take an average of it. Go back to the brush, and now when you sample, it's kind of good. It's seamless. Let's sample this area, and you want to paint this area. So change the blend mode to color. So you want to repair the color, just paint on this area with that. That will help you repair the color. For example, this is pretty discolored. So we'll take a sample and we'll just paint here. Have a look at the before and after. So this is the before, this is the after. I'm not sure whether you can see it in this screen. So let's do it here so that you can see it. So that's what it does. It just changes the color, and you can do it when the colors are not right. And that's pretty much it. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe, ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss a thing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.